5779, 2019, Part 3. We discussed the various approaches to the state of Israel. We mentioned 4. You could divide it further, but 4 we mentioned. You have Satmar, who holds that the whole existence of Jewish sovereignty before the Mashiach is just an impossible phenomena to exist in a proper manner. There's no such thing. The only time there will be Jewish sovereignty is when the Mashiach arrives. Before then, it is a fake, it's a fraud, work of the Sitrachis and evil forces of the universe. You have the yeshivish, the Lithuanian yeshivish approach, which may not be as extreme as the Saba, but it's not a very positive approach. It's, well, the world exists, the state exists, so let's at least deal with it and work with it. There's not going to be any celebration. Yom Haazmaut Derasha, you're going to hear what a great bracha. Rashach is not going to say anything great about it. It's here. He's going to talk about the secular Zionists and their sinners, and let's just try to get the best, make the most out of this situation, but nothing too positive you can hear from that world in general, whether it's from Rav Chanan Wasserman to the Chazon Ish to Rav Shah. Then you have Rav Soloveitchik, who's very positive and talked about the Medina being a great bracha for the Jewish people. But he never mentions the Gula, the redemption. He even says, if we go ahead and make it work, then all the sacrifices were worth it. If we don't make it work and spiritually it doesn't come to anything great, then it wasn't worth it. So he looked at it as a bracha, any nice bracha. You have a nice marriage, it's a bracha. If it works out, fantastic. If it doesn't, then all the harm and the pain, it wasn't worth it. So that's his attitude in his 2 works, Chamesh Drashot, the 5 Drashot, and Kol Didavek, the voice of my beloved is Naketh. So in those 2 essays, he makes those points. Then you have the Rav Kook approach, and those who follow Rav Kook. There's not just a bracha. This is the beginning of the redemption. There's no if we go ahead and succeed. No. The train has left the station. This is the beginning of the redemption. The signs of the redemption are there. We have the gathering of the exiles, the Gemara in Sadi Chet in Sanhedrin. The gathering of the exiles, fertility of the land. And we have Jewish sovereignty. 2 times we've fallen. And the 2 parshas, the Tochacha, the rebuke, refers to 2. Those 2, the Ramban says, and no more. This 3rd Jewish sovereignty is not going under. Of course, it has the signs of the redemption. And there is not a 3rd Korban, a 3rd destruction, according to Ramban. Rav Shechter writes about this in his article in the Hamizrahi magazine, written an article in honor of 2019 Yom Haazmaut. So those are an overview of 4 different approaches. Radically against the state. This is the work of evil forces of the world, the Satmar Rebbe. Then the yeshivish approach, where we'll work with this country once it exists, but there's nothing great about it. And the feeling here from Shach is quite negative. Then the Rav is quite positive, but he didn't go to the redemption approach, and it's for sure we're flowering. Rachel did not embrace that. And then you have the last approach with those rabbis that say, no, this is the beginning of the Gula, and this government is never going to be going down. No chance of it. It's a one-way street. We may sometimes contract. We might have a Gush Katif. We might have a Sinai. Or withdraw from Sinai, it's true, but the general process here is one of redemption with some bumps along the way. Those are the 4 approaches. And we mentioned it's very important that whichever gadol you are holding by, and the person holds by his gadol, whichever one you're holding by, and you should be passionate and embrace your position with enthusiasm, excitement, and spiritual connection to your position. Obviously, mine is quite clear. I'm not the Rav. I'm more than the Rav. To me, I am very convinced, based on the sources, this is the flowering of our redemption. We proudly say, when I'm on the shul, every Shabbat morning, Avinu Shabashmaim, bless the state of Israel, that is the beginning of the flowering of redemption, based on the sources that the signs of redemption are here, the gathering of the exiles, a solid government, and we have a fertility of the land like never before. So that is my position, and I embrace it with passion and enthusiasm. Now the question is, we discussed in the Shia, how do you relate to the other sides? What do you do with them? So, if you're really convinced of your side, what do you think about the other sides? They're wrong. Those that say this is the work of an evil force Sitracher, no, I don't see that. I embrace the Gedolim that say no. Those that say that it's Parim, and once the state's here, we'll work with it already. Once it's here already, make the best of it. Take what we can from it and contribute, spiritually to the place, get the money we can for the government, build yeshivas up. But we're not going to be all starry-eyed here in any way whatsoever. Wrong. I disagree. I go look at Gedolim, disagree. I don't disagree with the Gedolim. I embrace Gedolim who disagree with those Gedolim. And finally, Rav Soloveitchik, his works are incredible, amazing. You can read them all day. All his works in general, especially these two works on religious Zionism. But I think even more than the Rav. No, I lean more to the Rav Kook and Rav Aaron Soloveitchik's brother, who was comfortable with the redemption. So how to relate to the other approaches? Some I think are radically wrong and totally disagree with it. So just a detail, like the Rav Soloveitchik's approach. But what's crucial is never, never, never do we slip into the terminology of kfira, heresy, heretic, apikoros. These are big issues. And these kind of historical issues are huge. It's not going to be machloket. Can you kasher plastic? Something not discussed in Chazal because it's a new material. So he'll say yes, he'll say no. Can a woman count Sfiras HaOmer? Okay, it's a good question. Could you say a bracha or not? You're not going to have a world war with these things. There are arguments. There's clear source in Allah. You can go this way, you can go that way, fine. Historical arguments, the Hasidus movement, the Zionist movement, Musar movement, where one group is saying this heralds a beautiful new chapter in Jewish history. The other one's saying, oh my gosh, new things, this is new, this is dangerous. It's like a reform, and who knows where we're heading. So that's where, when we have these arguments, whatever side you're on, so I'm on the side that this is a great redemption process that we're in. How do I view the other sides? I disagree. I go with the Gdolim who disagree with them. That's it. There's no room for courses, kofar, and any negative terminology. Just, you talk about the position you embrace, and you can talk about the position that you reject. So you'll say, well, you think it's really wrong. Forces, evil forces confusing the Jewish nation. So that's not my position. I think I embrace those who could all say this is very, very wrong what he said. But how do I speak about the Satmar Rebbe? Giant, tzaddik, gadol. Lost his family in Holocaust and rebuilt Saba Hasidim. And he helped all Jews out. Satmar, religious, irreligious. Tzaddik of a person. Giant Talmid Chacham. Massive. But he had a position which, what can I say, but a giant of a person. So you'll say, well, what's the criteria for min and apikoros? We do have those terms in our Masorah. We do. So Klal Yisrael more or less has embraced a rule book for defining apikoros. What's that rule book? The Rambam's 13 Principles of Faith. Rabbi Mark Shapiro in Torah Mother Journal 25 years ago, almost 30 years ago, wrote that not everyone embraced the Rambam's 13 Principles of Faith, which I understand that, and he wrote a whole book on it. But we do say Yigdal every day in the morning, and at Tefillah we say Ani Mamin. So most of Klal Yisrael does embrace the 13 Principles of Faith. If you have the 13 Principles of Faith, the 13 Ani Mamins, the Yigdal, which is all the same thing, then you are considered in the fold. You reject one of the 13 principles of faith, then you are out of the fold. You're still a Jew, but you've left Orthodox Judaism. So you don't believe Torah's from Sinai. That's it. You left one of the 13 principles of faith. You believe Torah from Sinai, but there's no oral law. Then that's it. I don't believe in Mashiach. I don't believe in the resurrection of the dead. So that's the criteria that we use, the 13 principles of faith. Satmar Rebbe, he had the 13 principles of faith. And Rav Shach and Rav Wassman and everyone. And hopefully all the sides. And the Satmar Rebbe, hopefully he'll look at Rav Kook. He had the 13 principles of faith. Hopefully we can all look at each other that way. This is a serious issue. This is an intense issue. And we have very, very different views on where our whole Masorah is going with this whole Zionist approach. And if you're living 200 years ago, we're on the Hasidic approach. And 100 years ago about the Musar approach, and we're entrenched in very radical positions over here. But there's no kofir. There's no heretics on either side. Because we're all embracing 13 principles of faith. That's what the approach should be. And I hope and I pray that as enthusiastic as I am about this approach, and how much I embrace this period in history as the most glorious in the last 2,000 years. And one watching the Jews come home from all around the world and building up a beautiful Torah home. I hope and pray that with all my enthusiasm, I never, ever, ever look at the other side as doing anything more than just trying to understand the situation with their best abilities, which I respectfully disagree with their conclusions. That's it. Nothing more than that. Holy people who are investigating the case just like I am. And I hope that all of us could do that with each other. We could have a true machloket l'shem shamayim, an argument for l'shem shamayim, for the sake of heaven. No name calling, just argue with intensity and with passion and with love. Shalom.